our eminent panel. We have Mr. Harshvardhan Bansal, the director of Unity Group. Good morning, sir. Though neither he nor the Unity Group needs any introduction to all of us, but I'll still start a little bit. Unity Group has been a strong supporter of APP and NAR India in all the past conventions and conclaves. I'm sure they'll continue to do the same in the future as well. Mr. Bansal is an enterprising techno-commercial leader. He's an engineer graduate, has 27 years of experience in the real estate industry, and has led Unity Group to be one of the leading real estate companies in Delhi. His core strength lies in retail planning and zoning, architectural direction, project execution, and construction technology. An avid reader and traveler, Mr. Bansal has a very strong business sense and foresight that keeps him ahead in the changing times. Under his leadership, Unity Group has developed and delivered more than 10 million square feet of developments in Delhi alone, which include multiple retail and commercial developments, currently working on more than 20 million square feet of real estate projects in Delhi, including one of the biggest residential projects in Delhi, one of the biggest commercial projects in Delhi, and one of the biggest private healthcare projects in Delhi. We also have Advocate Jenis Francis. Jenis law firm, New Delhi. Jenis has been actively involved in providing legal services to the retail real estate sector for around 20 years now. He has been associated with and advised some of the most prominent names in the developer and retail industry, and has rich experience in corporate drafting, negotiations, dispute resolution, and litigation. Third, we have good morning, Jenis. Third, we have Kunal Behrani, who's the Vice President, Sales and Marketing for Unity Group. Good morning, Kunal.
Good morning.
So Kunal has been working in the real estate domain from around 10 years now, wherein he has been part of M3M, wherein he was involved in launching of the various prestigious projects, including Golf Estate, Merlin, Cosmopolitan, and Urbana. He has also worked with the 3C company, wherein he played a key role in launching Grenopolis in Gurgaon and also the Four Seasons private residences in Noida. Prior to joining real estate, Kunal has worked in the horizontal and vertical transportation industry and has also worked in the luxury automotive industry. And coming down to the moderators from your own family today.
Abhishek.
So we have Tarun Bhatia, who's the chairman of APP and the president-elect NAR India. Good morning, Tarun.
Morning, Abhishek.
We have Kshitij Nagpal, the president of APP and the head North Zone NAR India. Morning, Kshitij.
Morning, everybody. Morning, Abhishek.
Lastly, this is Abhishek Jain. I am the past president of APP Delhi NCR. So we'll start with a brief introduction on NAR India. Tarun, can you please start with that, please?
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. Welcome all. Welcome, Mr. Bansal, Kunal, and Jenis. And a big thanks to Ekta for joining in today to help us out. And to all the attendees, we already have about 275 plus, so what a great sight to see. So I'll just give a brief intro about NAR India. Founded in 2008, the National Realtors Association of India is the apex organization of realtors in India, which aims to enlighten the Indian realtors and train them to imbibe and adhere to international best practices, which in turn inspires confidence in investors and consumers. The core focus of NAR India is to elevate the standards of practice of the real estate brokerage business to a global level by promoting ethics, transparency, accountability, and respect for rule of law and good governance. The association aims at streamlining and promoting the profession of real estate brokerage in India. It encourages members to follow the highest professional and ethical standards. The organization provides support and education for more than 30,000 realtors all over the country through its member associations. It also offers comprehensive resources to realtors to provide world-class services and create value for all the stakeholders in the industry. We have also signed bilateral agreements with Credit National, with Naredco, NICMAR, and RICS, and we continue to maintain our relationship with the National Housing Bank, the country's housing finance regulator under the RBI Government of India. NAR India is shortly introducing real estate courses and certifications for members to upgrade their skills through learning and development. All these courses will be developed by Indian Institute of Real Estate, which is NAR India's own educational wing. What started as a concerted effort by a small group of dedicated professionals with the support of NAR US has today become the voice of realtors in India. We are an umbrella organization to cover 44 member associations, and we strongly believe in the strength of relationships and continue to maintain a fabulous relationship with NAR US. In fact, yesterday we did an online course called CIPS, Certified International Property Specialist, with NAR for our governing body members. It was a 5-hour fabulous course. So at the national level, NAR India is the top representative body and advocacy group for those in the real estate transaction advisory. And we try and establish the highest standards and accreditation in the real estate industry. So NAR India is also a non-profit organization created to be the collective voice of the realtors in India. Those who don't know, APB Delhi NCR is the one of the Delhi chapters of NAR India. Thank you very much. Over to you, Kshitij.
Yeah, hi everybody. Once again, I welcome the panelists and so kind of every member, every joinee from the industry. And as mentioned in the introduction given by Tarun, we are the Delhi NCR chapter of NAR India. Apart from the extraordinary things which have been briefed that we do, we also bring a lot of credibility by arranging conferences, seminars, conventions of huge magnitudes. More so, APP gets the advantage to our members by conducting certification programs and lectures by renowned speakers. In the past, we have held our voice against increase in registration fees for brokers and were successful in getting stay against the state. Recently, we reached out to the various department heads, including the CM window and Home Minister, against the sudden increase in circle rates in Haryana, which also went in our favor. By becoming a member of APP Delhi NCR, you get access to various updates on new laws, taxation, and opportunities of doing business comfortably with most dependable fellow brokers. With a dedicated team of 14 governing body members and 4 compassionate advisors, we take pride in getting support by our 140 member strength. And we are very lucky to have our regular sponsor, the Unity Group, in the house today for the right insight and information to help our members get prepared accordingly. We kind of missed welcoming Ekta in between, who's the GM for our NAR group. So welcome, Ekta. Over to you, Abhishek. You can start with your questions.
Morning, everyone, once again. So we have got about 300 people in. So let's start with some of our questions for Mr. Bansal. Sir, are we, to start with, I think this is the pertinent questions that all the realtors and all the buyers have in mind, that are we looking at a price correction from the residential viewpoint post-lockdown or right now, as in the prediction given by various speculations?
Good morning, Abhishek. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for giving me and my team an opportunity to interact with the industry fellow people, old friends. And I think this is the best way to interact with the friends in this crisis time. And as I discussed with the friends, that this is a big discovery to meet and greet people, friends, in you can say comfort of your home. So thank you very much for arranging this. And to answer your question, let us, you can say, I have heard, first of all, it's a tough time, we all know. And nobody have in our lifetime have imagined that this type of time will come in our life where we can say we are still fighting for existence, even for our life. And everybody and nobody had imagined that this time that everybody will be locked down in home and no train, no plane, nothing, construction is off, everything is off. And in our industry, there is nothing actually much about work from home. Everything in the real estate or construction, most of the things are actually on site. So you can't do construction on work from home. So it's the toughest time for you can say the construction people. Secondly, as you asked that it's a speculation. Everybody's asking, everybody's expecting that there may be a price cut, or because of the people are in, you can say, hard time. There is a, you can say, people are discussing that there will be a job cut, the salary cut, and the businessmen people, they will be, you can say, managing the cash flow and everything. Everybody will be in a financial, you can say, crisis and all. So people are expecting or speculating about, you can say, this price cut, and I think they believe so. But unfortunately, I don't think this will be possible in this current scenario. For explaining you in a brief, you can say, I would like to take you 20 years back. In the year of 2000, you can say this high-rise buildings and the condominiums concept came in Delhi NCR. Lots of projects came in Gurgaon and Noida, and some of them in Delhi also. Delhi were having very few, most of them in Gurgaon and Noida. And the people, the real estate people, that time, it was very easy for them. It's like a cakewalk for them. They just, you can say, were launching the projects. It was a pre-launch, it was a launch, it was Bhumi Pujan, and you get 40% honor before Bhumi Pujan, then you start, you can say, building the project, and the reselling starts going on. If you consider those 2000 to 2017 journey, right now, this 2017 to 20, I will say, the projects which are under construction or nearing completion have faced very tough time recently. I think we have faced 4 type of crises recently. This was the toughest time, and all the four crises faced by the projects which are about to complete right now, and all 4 crises were very big, and the projects which were started in 2000, maybe 2015, 10, they were having not such a crisis. So I will explain you few crises, what happened. The first crisis came in the year of 2016, on 8th of November, when our Honorable Prime Minister came to the TV and said, Bhaiyo Behno, this demonetization has been started, and your old notes will go away. And people were very scared that what will happen. Similar kind of, you can say, atmosphere was there. Nobody was trusting to each other. There was this question of cash flow. There was a question of payment on time. There's a big, you can say, scarcity in the market, like this type we are having. So what happened at that time, the real estate projects which were under construction was facing a similar kind of, you can say, toughness. At that time, this subvention scheme came up. You must be remembering, the subvention was the invention of demonetization, you can say. So the subvention, the CLP, which was a CLP earlier paid by the, you can say, buyer or the investor, it was converted to be paid by the bankers. And bankers came up with a nice scheme that, okay, 20% will be paid by the buyer and rest 80% will be paid by the, you can say, bankers. And banker will pay to the developer as per the CLP only. So what happened actually, the developer got this, their payment in CLP only, but the interest on that part was paid by the developer. So if you calculate just a 1 crore apartment, 20 lakh was paid by the buyer, the client, and 80 lakh was paid by the bank in various installments throughout the CLP link. If you calculate, Abhishek, it 10%, you can say, of the total cost of the apartment went in interest paying into the to the bankers. If you think that the 10% cost was gone away by the developer from his margin only, and whosoever the projects which they didn't adopt for this subvention, they came out with some more options of payment like 30-30-40, 30-20-50. There are so many options. But all of the options, Abhishek, was just to ease out the pressure of the payment. So
Absolutely.
I can say apartment, the profit of the developer was, you can say, reduced by paying interest on that. I will give an example. If you buy an apartment of 2,000, 2,500 square feet, say example 2,000 square feet, and the price is 10,000, the cost is 2 crore, you can say. Out of 2 crore, if you take the price 10,000 average of Delhi NCR, normally it's 3,000, which is the cost of construction. 3,000 we consider as a part of, you can say, land. 1,000 we consider as a part of marketing, brokerage, and administrative charges, and sometimes maybe a small interest also. The rest 3,000 was, you can say, the profit before tax, gross profit before tax. And this subvention scheme, they took away around 800 to 900 rupees from that 3,000 only. The construction cost remains same, this land cost remains same. So the first crisis was demonetization. And the second crisis, we people in 2020 projects, the phase was of, you can say, RERA. This was a big crisis. I will not, you can say, name it as a crisis, but it was an event, you can say. In the RERA, all the marketing activities of the, you can say, the images shown in the perspective, they were supposed to be delivered. Like if you see the ad of FMCG, the Colgate, they say that it will clear 99% of germs and 1% will remain only. But it's not practical actually. No toothpaste can clear 99% of germs. Similarly, developers were, you can say, in the marketing catalogs, they were marketing gimmicks was, so many gimmicks was there that you feel like this, you feel like this. But in RERA, everything has to be, you can say, actuals. So who?
Sir, you've gone on. Oops, sorry. Hanji.
Clear now?
Yeah, now it's clear. Sorry.
Okay. So what I mean to say that the RERA, all the, I can say, additional features or additional images shown in the catalog, they were supposed to be delivered, and that was a cost. And secondly, the biggest problem in the RERA was you cannot charge payment, you cannot take money from the client beyond 10% before registering or before executing agreement. And it was a big, you can say, event. It took a lot of time to the developer to execute the agreement, and your payment was stuck up. So the payment again was, you can say, stuck up, and lots of extra amenities, hidden charges, they all were the part of then the cost. And this 3,000 was further shrunk up. Out of that 3,000, initially demonetization, and then some amount was, you can say, reduced by this RERA. And finally, the GST, that's the biggest one actually. If you remember the GST, before pre-GST, there was service tax involved in this prices. And the service tax component was 4.5%. And that time the service tax was also, you can say, you can take more rate from service tax. Then the GST came, and the GST was 12%, and you are supposed to have input for the GST from the construction cost. Actually, what happened, Abhishek, the biggest problem of the GST was 18%. The land component government considered was 33%. It may be 33% land cost. It may be suitable for, you can say, the Greater Noida or the B location or tier 2, tier 3 city. But the city like Delhi and Mumbai, this 33% was not enough. So actually, this was, you can say, price cut. The input was less, and the customers, there was an atmosphere in the market that you have to pass on certain input credit to the customer. And finally, developer agreed for 2%, 3% pass on of the GST also. And what happened, Abhishek? The second GST impact, which is more crucial, it was in the year of last year only, 2019, when this GST was converted into GST 5%, but without input tax credit.
Absolutely.
So this input tax credit means the construction cost, which was 3,000 rupees, actually it went up to 3,500 odd. So all the GST paid to you can say the cement, the steel, all the contractor, building material, that was the part of the builder cost now. You can't reduce the land cost, you can't reduce the marketing cost. It was only the profit, which was further shrunk up by 5-6%. So very few amount was left in the pocket of the developer. And finally, there's a hike in construction cost due to various, you can say, aspects. If you consider the last 3-4 years, this environment, the construction was stopped many times. If you remember last time in November,
absolutely, sir.
after
Because
Diwali, the construction was held up for 2 continuous months. And before that, sometime also. Each type of these activities, the cost of construction goes up. And these activity, ultimately, what happens? It reduces the margin of the developer only. So we'll agree that this entire scenario, the 3,000 rupees, which was the margin any developer have imagined in this 10,000 rupees price, nothing is left in his pocket now. And unfortunately, I don't think any developer can now pay from his own pocket, and because there is nothing left, the juice has been all squeezed up. So nothing has left in the pocket of developer, and still this construction lockdown, 1 month, 1.5 months has already gone away, and we are expecting that it may take another 1 month or so, or maybe 1.5 months, nobody knows actually. So all this construction hike will again go from the pocket of the margin of the developer only. So we'll agree that nothing is now left, and I don't think no project can now afford to have even a 1 rupee discount in collection in any price. And I think you, Guy, PP and NAR, this is a big job to you. You have to convince, or you have to convey this to the customer or client, that it's a myth only. Please be ensured the quality will be good, everything else will be good. But don't, you can say, expect this price cut, and help the developer and the project to pay their installment on time. That will actually help the projects to come up on time. Otherwise, this will, you can say, further, create the problem. So thank you.
We sure will pass on the message to our buyers, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Bansal, I would like to ask you,
Yes,
sir,
please.
what do you think would change in terms of size of the apartment going forward? Would there be a demand for smaller sizes or bigger sizes post this lockdown?
Now, this is a very nice question. Actually, people are expecting that price will be reduced because of the, you can say, paying capacity will be reduced. But in my opinion, it's reverse actually. What happens actually, if you are now in a home, let us assume that you or I, we booked an apartment of 2,500 square feet or 2,300 square feet. And that 3-bedroom apartment we booked for having one master bedroom, and you can say attached bathroom and attached wardrobe, and one bedroom for my son and 1 bedroom for my daughter, you can say, and had 1 kitchen and a living area and 1 or 2 balcony and family lounge and maybe some of the other utility area. Now, if you imagine from the last 1 month or so, this work from home culture, this has been now started. So what happens? Nobody has their, you can say, area in their house for this work from home. So what will happen? Now people will be looking for in each bedroom some area which is dedicated to work from home. And not even work from home, the new concept of, you can say, tuition online, classes online, yoga online, music online, cookery online, these all type of activity will now enter into your bedrooms. So it will enter to the bedroom of your son, to the bedroom of your daughter, and to your bedroom. So you have to increase the size actually. So you have to create space for in each of the room, for study room, with a nice, you can say, desktop or acoustic arrangement, and maybe some speaker, maybe some, you can say, like I am now discussing with my drawing room or living room. It's not possible in future. You have to create some space in all of us bedrooms. So the bedroom size will increase because you have to make space for study room in each bedroom. And coming back to this other area like kitchen, nowadays the kitchen, if you book the 3-bedroom properties of around 125 or 150 square feet. So now this lockdown, the maids are gone away. There is no maid nowadays. There is no servant, and husbands are cooking and wives are assisting actually. So kitchen will be bigger. So you need space, bigger space for bigger kitchens. You need island kitchen. You need bigger space where 2 of you or 3 of you can be accommodated to cook food in a good manner, you can say. So you need bigger kitchens, and then you need bigger balconies. So now you need balcony where you can have sun bath during the lockdown, and even after the lockdown, this will be your lifestyle now. So each of the bedroom requires a bigger balcony where you have around, you can sit there for 15 minutes, 30 minutes during the sun. So you can have sun bath, or even you can use the balcony for, you can say, clapping or the thali and ghanti and all the diya. You need balconies everywhere. So the balconies will be the in now very soon. And then you will imagine that this utility area will also come up. Like if there are 2 ways. One way is that you will have servant now permanently in your house, if you can afford it. That servant, instead of maid, will need a space to, you can say, accommodate. That you need servant room. Otherwise, you need a lot of space for the gadgets. Like if you don't have a servant, you need now dishwasher, you need laundry, you need space for ironing, you need so many, you can say, spaces in your home. So where it would come from? You have to increase your house, you have to increase your sizes. So in my opinion, average house will be 20 to 25%. You have to increase the area. And finally, you need, Kunal is actually smiling. I think Kunal was discussing with me yesterday that now we need one dedicated den or maybe a dedicated IT room where you can have this type of some seminar or work from home. So lots of area is now required in your home, or maybe a part of your office is clubbed in your home. So home will certainly bigger, better, with great balconies. I will say you need a flexible home now where you can accommodate your old day-to-day requirement, and you can redesign your home after some time. Even after the lockdown, there may be some other event may come. So the houses will be bigger, in my opinion.
I would second that any day. I would second that any day. I was actually in my children's room, which is where you found this. So I've occupied their room right now. I don't have an office space right now, which is not created.
Yeah. Thank you, Kunal. Thank you, Kunal.
Sir, Kunal is lucky to have got the access to the children's room. हमारे तो बच्चे इतनी पढ़ाइयाँ कर रहे हैं, हमें अंदर allowed नहीं है.
The classroom, you can say, online, and this will be Kshitij, this will be routine practice. I don't think there will be summer vacation now, or you can say winter vacation. Class online will be in fashion and practice very soon.
Very good.
Sir, on a lighter note, Kshitij, on a lighter note, आज तक mobile हम देते नहीं थे बच्चों को. We used to deprive them of mobiles, if possible. And now it is only with mobiles that they can study.
Good that they know how to use it. बंसल साहब को तो ये भी पता है कि घर में assist कौन कर रहा है और खाना कौन बना रहा है. ये तो सारी बात खुल गई, हमें लगा राज की बात है.
Yeah, सच्चाई actually.
So coming back to the question, sir, Bansal, what do you think would sell now? Just launched projects, although there aren't many, under construction projects which are about to get delivered in the near future, या तैयार माल, ready to move in?
I think from the last all 4 crises, the one thing was very clear that now people are not looking for the projects which are just launched actually. And each and every crisis strengthens this idea that now people are looking for the projects which are, in my opinion, near to completion. I think maybe 1 year away, 1.5 years away. And those projects which are having a flexible design, you can say new concept is coming up now, the warm shell concept, where you can convert design your home as per your wish, you can say. You can change if you are having less, I will give you an example. If you are having less guests, so why waste space for the guest bedroom? So the guest bedroom will go away. And you can design your home as per your wish. So the projects which are near to the completion, though they have flexibility in design, and maybe 1 year, 1.5 years away, where you can redesign the home or house as per your wish, and that will be most, you can say, easy to sell now or maybe upcoming time.
एक चीज और थी सर, छोटे घरों में ये वार्म शेल का तो पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं होती है, तो सिर्फ बड़े घर में ही हो पाएगी.
Yeah, I will give an example. There are, as you asked earlier, that there are 3 types of apartments. One is affordable, another is super luxury, and the third one, the biggest one, is premium and bridge to luxury, you can say. So all these type of changes, the biggest market is premium to, you can say, bridge to luxury. All these type of, you can say, luxury, super luxury is always possible. So affordable house, this will not be possible. But still, I think people can remove one wall or one, I don't know what type of structure, the affordable house. I have heard the affordable house, they are coming with a structure which is a sheer wall kind of concept. That's very tough, you can say. Otherwise, you have to modify the house, that's for sure.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Next question, Abhishek, would you please be?
Yes, sir. So the next question is, sir, Delhi has always been known for different and more preferred demand for floors or courties. So going forward, what do you think will be the surge in demand? Whether you feel people will prefer more in gated communities as in apartments or community living, or you still feel people will prefer their independence in their floors and bungalows?
You're right, Abhishek. Actually, Delhi was having very few projects which were earlier community living. And only this Capital Green by DLF recently came up. Earlier, there was some housing society by the DDA, or you can say the Cooperative Housing Society. Otherwise, Delhi is known for bungalow or apartment, you can say the floor type of concept. But what happens, people are now realizing that they need a lot of, you can say, lifestyle, they need a lot of amenity. So the concept of community living or gated community is coming up from the last 2-3 years very, you can say, in a big way. People are experiencing this, you can say, lifestyle in all the, you can say, Magnolia, Aralia, or you can say any of the, I have few friends even in DLF Capital Green. They were earlier living in Rohini. So I asked why you shifted there. So they said earlier there was no lift actually, there was no facility, there was no swimming pool, there was no garden. So the concept of housing, community housing or gated community was earlier in. This lockdown will further strengthen it up. Now, even I'm in a house, I'm in a plotted housing area. I can't go beyond my gate outside. But in you can say group housing or in community, you have the common lawn, you have some area where you can have morning walk, although we're keeping the social distance or all. But still you have lots of area in the community itself, in the gated community itself, where you can have your all day-to-day activity. And these RWAs you all are watching on TV, they are now considering this entire RWA, entire community as a one family. And I have seen on TV in Noida that they are not even allowing to enter into the society, this delivery boy and guest or something like that. They all are considering it's a big family, and you can say, and the entire area is exposed to the residents only. So in my opinion, this will further strengthen up. the concept of community living or gated community with a more and more, you can say, lifestyle activity required. And so, in my opinion, this will further strengthen up. Thank you.
Mr. Bansal, continuing with what Abhishek asked or what Kshitij said earlier, what do you think would happen to the configuration and amenities within a project? And do you think there will be a shift towards preferring an apartment or a condo in the same city where you work after this lockdown? जैसे अभी क्या है, कोई दिल्ली में रहता है but गुड़गांव में काम करता है और vice versa. So lockdown में, even if it opens partially, you may not be allowed to go from one state to the other. So do you think there'll be a shift in terms of preference to buy a house wherever your workplace is? And amenities में क्या changes आएंगे condos या gated communities? Thank you.
I think certainly there will be a shift because you have just you can say seen that this Noida border is sealed, Ghaziabad border is sealed, and even this Gurgaon, you can't go here and there. So the work from home, I think, is not a right actually way to live, but walk to the home, can say walk to the home or office, home near to the office concept will come up very soon. So if you are having business in Central Delhi or Connaught Place or Kolbagh, or you can say anywhere in Delhi, it's not possible for you to commute to Gurgaon or Noida from if you have business establishment in Delhi. Similarly, if you have office in you can say Golf Course Road, you can't live in you can say in Delhi. So this will certainly people will like to prefer living near to your establishment, near to your office or work, you can say, or business you can say, establishment. So this will be strengthened. This will be further strengthened that the concept of walking to the home or maybe cycling to the home will come in future. No motor car will be, you can say, allowed and preferred, you can say. People will walk to the home. People will go even on cycle or bicycle like that. So this will further strengthen the people will be reside near to their establishment. And you asked about the amenity in the gated community. I think a lot of amenities are now already in, but further you have to strengthen because you can't have maid or servant in your house. So you need laundromat, you need more sports area where you can have sports. You need concierge service where you can say order or everything for your day-to-day living. You may be needing so many other amenities. You have to, you can say, add certain amenities to the existing one, and this will further ease out the lifestyle of the residents.
Tarun, probably on a lighter note, probably Mr. Bansal will have more work with husband wanting a property near her office and the husband wanting something near his office and the children wanting something near their school. So he's going to have multiple work coming in the way now.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Kshitij, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Weather permit करेगा तो sir cycle भी चला लेंगे. ऐसी कोई उसमें चिंता नहीं है. सारे जवान हैं हम. Bansal साहब के लिए question sir, which sector within residential do you think would pick up the fastest? Affordable, premium, luxury, branded, uber luxury segment, and why?
Actually, there was no competition earlier also in affordable and uber luxury. These two segments, the affordable is always a demand, and the demand will remain always. There will be no competition in affordable. Unfortunately, the definition of affordable in Delhi is different. It's a 2 crore apartment is affordable here. And in Greater Noida, it's a 50 lakh rupees apartment is affordable. So affordable will always be in demand. And the uber luxury, you can say the branded one or you can say the luxury, super luxury one, they were always in demand because they have their own clientele, very few one, but they have their own clientele. Sometimes they treat this as a trophy property. Oh, I have this, I have this, I have one in here, I have one in here. So there is no competition, no challenge in uber luxury and affordable. The biggest challenge is in between. So the ticket size between 1.5 crore to 5 crore, in my opinion, is having the biggest challenge. Then it has to be as per the demand as per the requirement of the people. It should cater to that. So this is the biggest, you can say, ticket size, biggest, you can say, market component that will be in great demand.
Thank you so much, sir. Though we all pray कि सारे segment बढ़े, सबके पास enough पैसे रहें और सारे category बिकते रहें. Over to you, Abhishek. Thank you.
For our audience, I'd like to say that you can keep keying in your questions in the Q&A that we have in the Zoom app. It will be easier for us to ask all the questions and answers for Mr. Bansal as well as Jenis and Kunal at the end of the seminar. So that is one. Just to let you know, we have more than 350 attendees to the webinar as of now. Yeah. Sir, the next question will be, since we all know about your passion towards the retail planning and development, what do you feel would change in the retail scenario in the coming times? I definitely feel there'll be a change in behavior of the shoppers, as in some will prefer social distancing norms and less visits to public places and cinema halls, which have been closed for quite a while. And how do you see that people walking back to these places?
Big challenge actually, Abhishek. This social distance, even after the lockdown, people will be very habitual. You can say they will in future also, they will try to maintain at least some distance between the two. What will have, it will have a great impact on cinema and to the, you can say, malls also. The malls, they have, you can say, they have to, first, in my opinion, the malls, they have to remove all the doors of the shops, you can say. If a mall is having 200 shops, so you have to first remove all the doors. Because nobody wants to open door now. Nobody will like to open door with your own hands, because there's a great fear of contact. So the new concept where the mall will have entire seamless entry. If you are walking in the corridor, all the shops will be without, you can say, gates, like we did in Vegas recently. It was not designed for lockdown, but it was you can say, the new trend was coming up. So all the shops, there is no gate at all. You can just enter into the shop. If you like the consumer merchandise, if you like the fashion, it's fine. Otherwise, you come out, you enter into the next shop, you enter into the third one. So there should be no, you can say, gate where the door handle, which nobody wants to, you can say, you touch it. The second change will be the corridors of the mall should be wide enough, actually. Because now the 6 feet concept will be there for so many time. If you are walking with family, with wife in the corridor of a mall, and a family is coming opposite to your direction, there will be 6 feet difference between the two. So if you consider all those, the one couple and 6 feet, it will be around 13 to 14 feet of corridor. The corridor should be 14 feet, 13 feet, 14 feet wide minimum. Otherwise, it will be tough to maintain social distance. And then you can say the most lift should be there, and you have to sanitize your regularly all the touch points. The parking should be touchless, you can say. The parking should be such that you can just show your card, access card, and the gate should open. These type of changes where minimum contact while you walk to the mall, and you can say less of contact area should be there. And there should be large volume. People should feel free, you can say, while keeping social distance. And one more change I think will happen in the air conditioning system of a shopping mall. So you have to, you can say, maybe you have to change your filter in the air conditioning area. You have to add, in future, you have to add HEPA filter or something like that, where the clean environment is there in the shopping mall. So these type of changes, if you have already, or if you can say add some of them, and if you ensure customer that, okay, my mall is safe enough, it's regularly sanitized, my handrails are sanitized every time, my washrooms are sanitized every time. The one new concept is coming for this lockdown period, this COVID-19. All the WC will be having a temporary seat cover, like you can say there's a machine, which will, when you use the WC and you come out, that a plastic cover will come up on the WC seat. So each user will have the new fresh seat cover, so that it's a more hygiene, more contactless, you can say. There are many changes you have to change in the mall. You have to ensure customer that these all changes are there in our mall. And once they believe that, okay, this is the right shopping mall where you have all these type of arrangements, they will love to visit the malls. The biggest challenge will be the cinema for the short term. Long term, I can't say. The short term will be they have to book tickets, leaving one seat to another. Like the occupancy will be 50%. So you have to keep one seat empty for another seat and book, and then another seat empty. So this will be a challenge for the cinema for the short time. Though normally cinemas are having 50% occupancy only average, if you consider the cinema, the average occupancy is 50%, but it will be configured in a different manner. You have to leave one seat, and you can say if you want to buy 4 tickets, actually you will be buying 8 tickets, 8 seats. So you are paying for 4 and you are getting the space for 8. So this type of changes will can say coming in shopping mall and cinema, so that to maintain this type of distances and all.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
Insight, great insight. Yeah.
I think let's Abhishek and Kshitij, let's give a breather to Mr. Bansal. He's been answering questions very, very patiently. I'd like to now ask the next question to Jenis. Jenis, are you there? Yeah, can you just unmute yourself? Yeah, so Jenis, there's a question to you that we've been reading lately that say some brands are saying will not give the rent during this period. I read somewhere that Reliance and PVR are writing to their landlords that we may not be giving rents, or other companies are also coming on the news. So do you think there is a legal confrontation brewing up in the retail industry due to COVID-19 between the tenants and the landlords?
Tarun, I would like to slightly move on to a different concept before I answer that thing. The concept which I think a lot of people in the retail today are discussing, retail as well as the developer community, they are discussing is the concept of force majeure. A word which means in many ways that there is something which has happened, any event which has happened, which has made it impossible or difficult, or something which is event which has happened beyond the control of parties, which makes the execution of a contract difficult or impossible or ridden with a lot of difficulties. Now, this is a concept where because of a particular epidemic or because of a particular disease, today there have been a number of government notifications saying that don't do this, don't open mall, don't open shops, don't have various services, various facilities operational. Now, government has done all this with the right perspective to protect the community, to protect the citizens. What has happened is this concept of force majeure has got triggered, or potentially triggered, or ostensibly triggered, whichever you want to call it. Now, I'll give a very, very simple thing. I'm a big movie buff myself. And those of you who would have seen probably the movie Oh My God, it was released in 2012 with Paresh Rawal and Akshay Kumar, where there's a particular incident which happens and Paresh Rawal बोल देता है ये तो भगवान ने करा, भगवान की करामत है, act of God. So that's where initially this concept of force majeure, how it was understood in a general understanding came into play. And thereafter, or even prior to that also, this concept has found its roots in various contracts. It has been there in various forms. And now what has happened is a concept which in my past I've been dealing with a number of companies, and the biggest thing which we used to have is the BD team, the business development team of various companies, they used to say, क्या ये clause इसमें कुछ नहीं है, इसको तो भूल जाता है, ये आगे हम commercials के बारे में बात करते हैं या कुछ बात करते हैं, arbitration बात कर सकते हैं, we'll talk about all those things, but we'll not talk about force majeure. Now this concept has become so important that everybody has started opening up their contracts and they have started going into what is this force majeure, ये कौन सी बला suddenly आ गई है. And because of this concept of force majeure, what has happened is one set of our retail industry, I call our retail industry because there are two major stakeholders out here. One is the owners of the property, and one are the people who come and do business. Both supplement each other. This is very, very important thing, this that they supplement each other in how this retail industry is being run. Now, what happened is, because the businesses got shut down, one hand said, sorry, I will not be able to hold you. I have to move slightly back. In that moving back, they said, I will not be able to pay rentals to you, or some monetary benefit which is stipulated in the contract, which is valid, because I'm not saying it's an invalid proposition which has been raised by the retailers. It's a very, very valid proposition that has been raised because they're not able to do business. The primary purpose for which they had taken shops was to do business, and they're not earning revenues. Now, what happened once this position came into picture? The particular contract which was there inter se between them was in relation to using the premises. The other party, being the owner of the premises, suddenly felt, what is this? My premises I given out to them. I am not able to use the premises. I've already created the premises for them. I am not getting any benefit. So both of them, who were good friends, who were two sides, I would say, of the same coin, and who were making that transaction work, suddenly turned around and said, sorry, there is, like what you said, a potential, what you say, a legal confrontation,
yeah,
which actually started brewing up. Now, this is something which has happened. It's a very recent thing. It's not something which has been there for quite some time. If you say, look, if you look at the timelines out here, we are talking about 19th March, 20th March, when all this thing started panning out. Till that time, everything was hunky-dory. There was no problem whatsoever. Now, 19th, 20th, when this notification started coming, obviously the business started getting hit of the retailers. Immediately, there was a recoil. The recoil is what has translated into what is now become a legal confrontation or opening up of this documentation, which is now panning out. Now, it is, I don't know in what shapes are we saying that it is at the present circumstance, but the way it is looking, it is actually brewing up. We have to see how this thing pans out. And what is the implication of force majeure? We need to start understanding that as we go along.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenis. Kshitij, over to you.
Sir, a lot of work coming your way. I'm sure you're going to be very busy. As it is, you're busy, but abhi bahut kaam aane wala hai.
Kshitij, believe me, not that we would want to do, because it's not, this is not actually, I would say, a constructive work which is happening. We'll come to that as we talk along. I think there's a lot of destructive thing which is happening, which we need to address. Probably I want to use this media also once we talk further, how to confront this particular thing and how to make it facilitative for everybody. We need to look at those options now.
All right. Sir, coming to Kunal, he's been listening to all this and we've been waiting to hear from him. Jitna important hai legal aspect, utna hi hamari sale bhi important hai. So what according to you, Kunal, should be the way to sell now? And do you think the brokerages, payment plan need to be reworked? Ya kuch advertisement change karoge? Kya karoge? Just throw some light on that.
Yeah, I'll take it one by one. So what according to me would change? I think the way we sell would change completely. So earlier, typically a customer would research online or for that matter, you would possibly tell him about the projects. कि ये वाला project अच्छा है, ये भी अच्छा है, ये भी अच्छा है, ये भी अच्छा है. आपके लिए ये तीन में से एक suitable है. So why don't we have a look at all these three and let's go out there, understand the project and let's make a deal. So typically that was the way that any channel partner used to function in the market. Now what will happen is, because the customers have time on hand right now, or for that matter, they will be working much more online than offline. I think they would do about 70% of the research, first of all, by themselves. Then they would want your stamping on it, because that is very critical and important. I think, being a channel partner, you would have much more stake now, because अगर आप लोग बोलोगे नहीं ये फिजिकली ऐसा नहीं है जैसा ये बोलता है ऑनलाइन, तो सब कुछ खत्म हो जाएगा। और अगर आपने ये कह दिया ये फिजिकली और ऑनलाइन दोनों प्रेजेंस इसका एग्जैक्टली सेम है, ये वैसा ही काम करता है जैसा ये बोलता है ऑनलाइन, तो everything would be fine. So people would be relying way more on your advice. And I think 70% जैसे advice वो अपने आप पहले करेगा, उसके बाद आपकी लेगा, और वो जो 90% अपना मन बना चुका होगा, सिर्फ जो फाइनल नेगोशिएशन के लिए मे बी he would want to come to this side कि भाई ठीक है, मैं भी अपनी आंखों से देख लेता हूँ कि this is the actual thing which is there. Okay, second, can you repeat the question, the second one that you asked me?
Would we be required to change the payment plan or brokerages?
Okay, yes, maybe. For sure. Like payment plans, for sure, kahin na kahin changes aayenge. Now this is, I'm just talking, off the hat right now. We still have to deliberate on this. We've not, done anything of this sort till now. But yes, I think people would want to, keep some amount towards the possession as well. I would say, a chunk of the amount towards possession. Yes, the third one, you asked me three these things.
Incentive to us, sir. वो बढ़ा दो ना, तो फिर काम जरा आसान हो जाता ना.
Kshitij, the day इंपॉर्टेंट होता है ना डील में, आप वो समझ भी नहीं सकते हैं। आप चैनल पार्टनर खुद हैं, लेकिन शायद से आप उतनी इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं लेते हैं, इसलिए शायद अपने कस्टमर को उतना डिस्काउंट दे देते हैं। अगर मैं चैनल पार्टनर हूं तो मैं बोलूंगा कि मैं डिस्काउंट नहीं दूंगा, मैं आपको बेस्ट एडवाइस दूंगा और ये कहूंगा कि भाई साहब मैं 3 साल क्या 4 साल क्या मैं जिंदगी आपके साथ हूं, और मैंने जो आपको एडवाइस किया है कि ये वाला घर लीजिए, ये आपके लिए बेस्ट सूटेबल घर है, इसलिए मैं आपको ये एडवाइस कर रहा हूँ, ना कि मैं इसलिए कर रहा हूँ कि ठीक है जी मैं काम कर सकता था। अगर आज आप शेयर मार्केट में किसी से बात करोगे तो बड़ा प्यारा सा एक आंसर मिलता है कि भाई साहब इन्वेस्ट कर दो, इन्वेस्ट कर दो। उसको कोई मतलब नहीं होता मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स आई वुड से कि क्लाइंट का पैसा बढ़ रहा है, घट रहा है, क्या हो रहा है। बट एक रियल एस्टेट जो ब्रोकर होता है, एक जो रियल्टर होता है, एक चैनल पार्टनर जो होता है, उसकी एडवाइस बिलीव यू मी इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट होती है कि बीवी से रोज गाली सुनने को मिलेगी अगर अच्छा एडवाइस नहीं किया। अगर बीवी से गाली नहीं सुननी है, मैं ये कहता हूं ब्रोकरेज पूरी दो, उस पर डिस्काउंट मत मांगो, और सबसे बढ़िया एस्पेक्ट एडवाइस अपने जो ब्रोकर है उससे अच्छी लो। सो दिस इज माय टेक ऑन इट। सो मोर देन वेलकम टू इंक्रीज द ब्रोकरेज, क्षितिज, नो प्रॉब्लम इन दैट व्हाटसोएवर।
सर वही स्पेशल कैटेगरी ऑफ ब्रोकर दे रहे हैं ना हम आपको, एपीपी वाले सारे एडवाइस अच्छी देते हैं।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। सो दैट्स व्हाट आई से।
Bringing back to Abhishek. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Abhishek, can I ask a question to Mr. Bansal? Mr. Bansal, coming back to you again.
Yes,
we were discussing how how the consumers will come back to the malls. There's a lot of debate happening where I live that whether malls will do better or high street retail will do better going forward, because malls are enclosed spaces, centrally air conditioned. High street retail is more open and people can move with a little more social distancing, although I'm sure malls also will follow the same guidelines. So can you throw light on going forward what in your perception will do well, malls, high street, in the short term, in the long term? Thank you, sir.
I will say malls, short term, long term, both. Because in malls you have controlled environment. You can keep your, you can say visitor, check on visitors. You can thermally check your clients. You can sanitize your area. You can keep check on your staff. You can maintain distance in between you, and you can also hold, if the crowd, you can check that 5,000 customers are in, you have to wait, and then 5,000 after half an hour or something like that. In the mall, it's a big advantage. The entire, all activity are within the control environment, within the control of the mall operator. In high street, it's not possible. First thing as explained to you earlier, you don't want to open shop gate everyone. How will you be comfortable opening gate to A shop, then B shop, then C shop? In a mall, it's a different atmosphere. The lockdown is fine. In the long term also, people are, you can say, moving towards shopping mall for their, not only for their, you can say, purchasing is a secondary, for their day-to-day lifestyle celebrations, day-to-day events, activity to meet and greet. And malls are now basically, it's a social place where you can celebrate all the other aspects of the life. So malls for sure, and even after the lockdown, I will say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Abhishek, over to you.
So, sir, my next question would be, what do you think would change in terms of buying behavior of customers post the lockdown? And more primarily, what are your suggestions to the realtors to adapt to sell more efficiently now as well as in the future?
Great. So first of all, I will say that this is the first time the entire nation is marketing real estate. If you listen to our Honorable Prime Minister, Ghar mein raho, and all the national leader, international leader, everybody is marketing real estate, residential real estate. Okay, ghar mein raho, buy a home. Jab ghar mein tabhi rahoge, tab aap buy a home. So you may be looking at good home. And Abhishek, I will explain you my personal, you can say.
Very well said, sir.
Everybody is saying, ghar mein raho, stay home, stay safe, stay home. It means home is the place where you will be safe. So everybody is marketing the home. Secondly, if you experience, I will share you my experience. I'm coming up with my home in, you can say, house in another part of this Delhi. And that house is almost near completion. It will take another 2 to 3 months to complete that one. And believe you me that every day I am missing that home now. Because
I'm sure.
you need more space. You need more space in every nook and corner of the house. If you are residing in your whole old house, you can't, you can say, accommodate easily. Secondly, the customer, the client who have booked an apartment in a gated community or project, they must be living in rented home or maybe in old house. Everybody who have booked an apartment certainly is missing his home, certainly is missing his house. So there will be desperate need of the people who have booked home. They will certainly like to go to their new home very, very soon. So first, that's the first one. The second one, for the, you can say, I will also like to add the behavior of the customer you were asking. If you experience the last 1 month, the expenditure, you can say, or I think let us take it in a different way. If you earn X amount, say example 50 lakh per month, you have some expenditure, you can say the entire amount is divided into two. One is your expenditure, another is your investment. So your expenditure is on foreign travel, luxury travel, parties. You can say you have some money for your wedding of your son, your daughter, and that expenditure is on your luxury lifestyle, your luxury car and all. And then whatsoever you save, you invest in share market, mutual fund, MCX, even the bank FDs, the gold, so many things you can say. So the behavior certainly will change now. People will try to save money from luxury travel. You can say from the wedding will cost less now. If you have money for spare money for your son's wedding or daughter's wedding, that money will be saved now. The money will be saved from luxury car. You don't need 4 cars, 3 cars now. You have to go to your office nearby, walk to home, or cycle to home, as Kshitij was mentioning. So you will have spare money from your wedding expenditure, from travel, from, you can say, luxury expenditure. And the second part is investment. So people have experienced investment in BSE or stock exchange. The 40,000 stock exchange index BSE is now 30,000, and even 30,000 is not sure what will happen to that. People, I know some friends who have invested in this crude oil in the MCX. Can you believe, Abhishek, one of my friends who invested 10 lakh rupees in crude oil, he lost 20 lakh. Invested 10 lakh and lost 20 lakh because crude oil is now in minus. So you have to pay to the
I'm sure, Anji.
More money. And even to the, I can say, the money which was kept in the bank will attract less interest rate now, less, you can say, return of investment. So it's a great opportunity for the, you can say, real estate sector. People will spend more money to their home because that's the basic need now. You need good home, you need better home, you need better environment, you need better amenities. And also, your investment will be diverted to the real estate. Okay, real estate for up down, but end of the day, it's safe. So it's a great opportunity for all the APP realtors that please, you can say, guide your clients, your friends, that this is the best industry. Real estate, you should invest here, and you can say saving of your other expenditure should be invested in big house. And secondly, I will also like to add that all real estate realtors, they all are very lucky actually, because we are in the real estate business. You imagine the share broker, what's happening to him. You imagine the tour and travel business guide, tour and travel, you can say, the travel agent. You imagine the mutual fund, you can say, advisor. There are so many other type of consulting business which all are in trouble. But it's the real estate, by the grace of God, we are in right, you can say, business, but still we are in the safer side, safer hand, and better industry, as I will say. So it's nothing to worry. Real estate will boom back, will come back, and people will invest more money into real estate now on.
We all hope and pray for the same, sir. Over to you, Kshitij.
Sir, another question aapke liye, Bansal saab ke liye. What do you think would happen to the office scenario? It is a major quantum of business for realtors, for builders, everybody. There were a lot of people who were looking at bigger office spaces on lease within Delhi NCR before the lockdown. How do you feel that this is going to change?
I think that this entire office scenario will become, you can divide into two parts. One is the, I can say, business district centers, where the large number of corporates are there. And another is the small shop office complexes which are near to the residents. So first of all, the new concept of walk to the home will come up. So people who are living will be looking for the office nearby, like all the consultants, the lawyer, the CAs, the travel agents, and all. They will be now looking office near to their home, so they can walk to there. And the corporate, the big hope is, I think, the company who are now will be out from China. You have heard that 1,000 companies are out from China, and then 300 of them have already selected India as their new home or new office. So there may be a lot of demand for big corporate offices in the big sectors, and a lot of demand for the small offices in the small centers near to the home. The challenge will be to the co-working, I think. Because co-working, there's a big challenge of the social distancing. How you will maintain the distance between the one occupier to the another occupier, and how you will ensure the hygiene when one. I think the challenge will be the co-working. Rest everything, the small offices, big offices, there will be big demand in the future, you can say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Tarun sir, आपकी बात.
Yeah. बंदुल साहब, मेरे दो सवाल हैं आपसे, अनरिलेटेड है वैसे. पहला ऑन अ पर्सनल नोट, हमारी क्या लर्निंग्स हैं इस लॉकडाउन पीरियड से? आई एम श्योर आपको एज अ टॉप डेवलपर आपके प्रॉब्लम हमसे बहुत ज्यादा मैग्नीफाइड हैं. सो एक तो क्या लर्निंग्स हैं, दूसरा मैं सर देख रहा हूँ ऑडियंस में हम बहुत सारे गुड़गांव के रियल्टर्स हैं तो कोई यूनिटी का कोई प्लान है आगे गुड़गांव में कोई प्रोजेक्ट्स लाने का? तो ये अनरिलेटेड क्वेश्चन है, बट 2 डिफरेंट क्वेश्चन हैं. पहला, लर्निंग क्या है हमारी लॉकडाउन से, और आगे एक्सपेंशन प्लान कुछ गुड़गांव में है क्या? थैंक यू.
I will say learning, first learning part, we have to, you can say, learn now digital experience, you can say. So first, all the realtors, they must, you can say, strengthen their digital ability. You must have a good, you can say, system. You should, I think you should visit the RERA website for all the projects. You should learn all the amenities, all the, you can say, title, everything from the RERA. Even after the RERA, we were expecting the realtor before going to any project, they should go through the RERA website thoroughly. They should understand the project very well. And now in this current scenario, you should have actually download entire digital information, like you can say all the virtual tools, all the drone shooting, the time-lapse camera shooting, everything, the Kunal and his team, or all the, you can say, developers team, you should download them. You must have all the information ready with you digitally, as well as all the, you can say, 360, everything you must have. And you can say, try to, you can say, interact with your client always. Don't, you can say, leave them. Always be in touch with them. Your second part, Gurgaon, I will say now Gurgaon, Delhi, is all the boundary vanishes. Your client can be in London now. You all have to discuss digitally. You have to showcase your project on your Zoom or your webinar or WebEx or something like that. Now Gurgaon, Noida, Delhi is nothing. You can have a client anywhere. You can say promote the project, which are the best project in your rating. The good promoter with good experience, with the experience in delivery and commitment. And of course, all the track record and all. So the project should be good, promoter should be good, and whosoever pays you on time, actually. That's also the very important. And you were asking the Kunal what you are doing, Kshitij was asking what you are doing for the realtors. I would like to announce one scheme which we have recently been discussing. That we have a new scheme that you just book your apartment with us, pay 25%, and take your entire brokerage on the spot. So these type of incentives or activity will certainly enhance the morale, the boost of morale of the brokers.
Thank you, sir. Very well answered, Kshitij.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Continuing further, sir, what should the government do during this time, and what are the kind of incentives you think the government should be giving to customers, developers, realtors during this testing times? I
think government is doing a lot initially for the health factors, the safety of us, which is more important nowadays. They are taking good care of, you can say, health, and all the activities are health activities are now taken care of government very nicely. Coming after some time, there are 2-3 points I think government should ensure. The first one, you can say the rate cut of interest passed on to the banks has not been passed to the customer till now. The government should ensure that whatsoever around 1% it's already been passed on. Some of the banks, like government banks, they have passed on some component, but some private banks and some NBFC are still not passed on. First of all, our request to the government will be that they should ensure that the entire benefit passed on to the bank should really be passed on to the client actually. And Kshitij, believe me, it will be great impact. I will give you one example. If your one client is having 1 crore rupees loan, and he was earlier having 8.5% rate of interest, the EMI was 87,000 rupees. And now, if the interest rates come to 7%, which all we are expecting, 1% is already been down, maybe 0.5%, maybe more. This EMI will further down by 10,000. So the 87,000 will come to 77,000. So it will be a big relief to the clients. Okay, you have to pay 10,000 rupees less in the current scenario, which already government have already passed on. Secondly, I think the government should you can say the GST, the input tax credit should come again in the GST to boost the real estate sector, because that's a big cost. If the cost of, you can say, input is credited for the GST, around 400, 500 rupees per square feet will be saving. It's a big, you can say, relief. And thirdly, we all expect that government should come up with some scheme like maybe 1 year relief for the stamp duty or something like that.
Totally.
Real estate or construction is the second largest sector in India. We have around, you can say, around 7 to 8 crore jobs in real estate sector, construction division, construction. You can say it's a big sector. So we have to boost, the government has to boost the, you can say, economy back. The real estate sector should be given some relief. These type of relief will have certainly good impact on the real estate sector. So thank you.
Totally, sir. Totally. House provider के साथ साथ इतने सारे घर भी चलते हैं सर real estate के अंदर.
जी जी जी.
तो Abhishek, over to you.
हाँ जी. Bansal साहब, next question is of a little selfish nature, I would say. The question here is, sir, in case during this lockdown period and post this lockdown period, some of our members at APP and NAR India register some fresh leads with your team, with Kunal and the able team that he has below him. Okay, how do you think these leads will be taken care of, and what is the additional or a special incentive that we can expect from your side?
Yeah, so because I have already answered, Abhishek. The first one we are coming up with, you just book your apartment with your lead and pay 25% only and get your entire incentive on the spot. That's the best one. Secondly, I will say that try to take all the digital information from our team and pass on to your leads or your information. We are coming up with one more special scheme. We are coming up with one 360-degree view of your particular apartment. I'm not saying about our show apartment. If you book an apartment, your client can view the entire 360-degree of the apartment, which is under construction. So this will give him a big relief. If you book an apartment through a lead, we are tying up with some agency who will give all the 360-degree view of the particular apartment with the number plate. Okay, if you book the apartment, say example C1402, so we will shoot the C1402 in a 360-degree, you can say, angle, and that will be shared with your client digitally. So these type of digital information where customer is satisfied with in his home environment will add these type of things. So please convert your leads to our team or to all the teams of the developer and try to, you can say, configure the same material like we have installed now time-lapse camera or the drone shooting. Everything has to be with use parallelly in your system as well as with our team.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for all your inputs. Let's start with Jenis now. Tarun, you have some questions for Jenis. Let's start with that.
Unmute. Tarun, unmute.
Jenis, a follow-up on the last question itself, which I'd asked you. I was on a webinar where Mr. Atul Roya said that, the mall owners, the developers, the retailers all have to be reasonable with each other going forward. So nobody wants to, hurt anybody's interest, but nobody wants to hurt themselves also. So what is your advice in general to, to the developers and to retailers and even to realtors? How do we avoid a full blown out eruption of legal disputes between various stakeholders in the retail industry? Before we get into the legal aspects, what all we can do so that these are, avoided?
Okay, let's probably understand what are the pain points that we're talking about out here. That's the starting point out here. The pain point which is coming from a developer is that he has been asked today by a government notification to keep all his facilities in terms of infrastructure moving, secure to be taken care of, the maintenance of the site to be taken care of. He has to also make, there are some notifications which say that even the salaries have to be paid. Now that also has to be paid in full. Let's look at from the, and to top it all, the institutions from whom he has taken a loan against which the lease rentals have been discounted, even those banks are sending notices to the developer. So that's one part of the story. The second part of the story out here is, for the retailer, even that fellow is not able to make any sales. He also has got to take care of his staff. His supply chain back end is disrupted. Half the migrant guys have left from, say, in Delhi, from Mumbai, they already left back for their homes. There are various notifications which say keep your premises closed. Now, these are 2 points which have become pain points at each. Now, that's where, again, going back to the concept of force majeure comes, once it comes into play, then we need to start exploring what is this clause talking about. Why has this performance become so difficult? Now, what is the first thing which has been triggered is, give me a rental waiver straight away from 25th March or 22nd March onwards till the time this lockdown is in effect. That's point number one. That's a starting point number one. The point number two which is being made is whether that particular waiver in whatever forms, in terms of whether it is a waiver in terms of absolute amount or in terms of revenue share or whatever, will continue for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. We don't know. Or for the next 1 year. So nobody is clear about what is going to be the fate of how this lockdown is going to actually open up, when it is going to open up, how much of bleeding will happen at both ends. Now, everybody turns towards this force majeure clause as if that particular clause is going to open up all the issues and it's going to clear up all the issues. On the contrary, what is not being realized is the force majeure clause, it may be contained in agreement, it may not be contained in agreement. If it is not contained in agreement, let's answer that part first. Then we are talking about another concept getting triggered, legally concept. Sorry, I don't want to confuse you guys on this, but another concept is getting triggered, which is frustration of contract, which gets covered under a particular different contract act. Now, once we go into that line, what needs to be understood very clearly, a frustration of contract as opposed to a force majeure condition and a suspension which can happen. A frustration of contract, we're talking about termination of a contract. We're talking about even losing, a retailer losing his fit out value altogether. We need to be very careful when we are opening up a commercial agreements today and understanding what are the implications of this particular force majeure clause which is there in the contract. Is it going to be a scenario that we are going to raise up a big issue, a big confrontation is going to start up, where we are not even realizing, have we read our contracts? Does the force majeure clause even get triggered? To some extent, we were earlier on a scenario whether this pandemic is going to get covered as a force majeure. Now, luckily, I don't know for how much time it stays, the High Court of Delhi has come up with this particular decision on 20th of April. This is that Halliburton decision, in which they have said that, okay, this particular pandemic is in nature of a force majeure. So that's one point taken. The second point taken is, what is the implication which is mentioned in the contract? We are sending out notices today to the various property owners, and this is not something that I'm talking about the retailers or from the developers. It has got multiple ramifications. Whatever I'm saying for the retailers, the same logic may be from the developers, from a funding agency. That same logic is there. Whoever has to give money to the other person is now sending out notices saying that, sorry, this is a force majeure situation, I will not make payments to you, without even realizing whether the force majeure clause which is contained in the agreement talks about a pandemic. If it's not getting covered, is it talking about the destruction of property? Is it talking about how much time period a particular event is continuing? None of us even going into that. So what we need to understand is, it's not going to be easy triggering out a force majeure clause and taking the logical end that we want. We are not even gone into the principle, or we are not even gone into understanding whether our agreements, are they lease agreements? Are there leave-in license agreements? There's a huge distinction between both of them. Are there revenue sharing contracts? How are the force majeure clauses being dealt in these contracts? Are there arbitration clauses? Are there lock-in periods? What needs to be done is, if you want to avoid a full force dispute just going out, and we are saying that we don't want to be, will not be part of the retail segment anymore, which is not going to be the scenario, because I personally feel, and I feel it on a positive note, India's story is going to be very different from what the other parts of the world is going to be. India, there's a huge demand which is going to be there, which will continue to be there. I'm very, very positive about India's manner, the way the government has taken stock of things, the way they have come on things, the way people like Mr. Harsh Bansal himself, if you look at it, how Mr. Harsh Bansal has reached out to his retailers. He, on his own, announced certain concessions. Now, these are things which, from each side, all of us need to handhold each other than pulling back our hands. What I am actively suggesting to all our clientele at JFS Rates, we are doing a mediation perspective. What we are trying to do out here is, we are trying to handhold the parties not to go into the court and spend more money into arbitrations and into litigations. We are telling them actively, please understand your documentation. If you have not understood, please do a full legal internal diligence to begin with. Understand what clauses there, how the agreement has been structured. Please start a talk of mediation with the other party, reach out to the other party, understand how you can understand the pain points of the other party, handhold him, and try to get back that bounce into the retail. If the retailer and the developer and the property owner decide to bounce together, believe me, India is going to follow a different yardstick altogether. Otherwise, what is going to happen is, a health pandemic will become into an economic pandemic. We need to be very, very careful. And that's why I'm saying, don't simply press an exit route out here. Don't simply push a panic trigger out here. Let's wait. Let's understand how the situation is going to blow out. I think people like Harsh Bansal are there today in the industry, who are seasoned people who understand the pain points of retailers. Please handhold together. And there are many more developers, I would say. It's not only, I will not want to say because it's a unity, Mr. Harsh Bansal sitting out there. I think there are many other developers who are rising up to the situation. Let's handhold these industry leaders. Otherwise, the inflation is going to be huge. They will default, you will default, it'll just go berserk. So my suggestion is, exercise restraint, exercise mediation, and let's try to make this into a scenario where we bounce back. India bounces back faster than any other place.
Thank you, Jenis. That was very well answered. Abhishek, over to you.
Yeah. So, Jenis, you've answered most of our questions in your, answers in one go. So let's go on to Kunal for his insights on something. Kunal, how do you personally see changing the way in which work would be happening now in terms of sales and marketing of real estate specifically?
Well, I think Mr. Bansal has mostly answered this, and of course, it will be happening digitally more than happening at the site. And I also, partly took this question in my earlier one. But yes, it'll be much more focused. It'll be much more planned now. So at this point of time, when we have time in our hand, I think we should do a lot of planning. We should do a lot of, understanding tech, understanding projects in the market which are there, and changing the way the entire business would happen. So when I say that, हम आज की डेट में अपना जो काम करने का नजरिया है, जो तरीका है, उसको पूरा बदल रहे हैं. Now, virtually, the entire showrooms would be there in front of you. You can actually see the entire space in front of you before even going to the site. So I think as a developer, हम उसके लिए already काम करना चालू कर दिए हैं. Although I would say इससे पहले कोई भी equipped नहीं था, but आज की डेट में सब धीरे धीरे करके, जैसे Zoom call पे आज हम बैठे हैं. Of course, this is one of the means. Of course, you can have WebEx, Zoom, X, Y, Z, Delta, Theta, but whatever it takes, understand the tech and at a very good pace. And I would say change the way the entire sales team works. सो सेल्स टीम का जो काम होता था कि कॉल किया, हाँ जी सर आप कोई प्रॉपर्टी लेना चाहते हैं, क्या करना चाहते हैं, कैसे करना चाहते हैं, सर मैं आपको एक डिजिटल आपको एक वॉक थ्रू भेज रहा हूँ which is possibly walk the talk types, and if I can possibly fix up a time on Zoom with you, and I'll have my channel partner, I'll have my Zoom video, and I'll have you on board together so that I take you, handhold you like you were there on the site. After this possibly लास्ट जैसे मैंने कहा था कि 10% के लिए कस्टमर जरूर साइट पे आएगा, लेकिन 90% काम ऑनलाइन हो जाएगा. So we'll have to actually equip our entire team digitally in a much more better way, और बहुत जल्दी करना पड़ेगा. टाइम बिल्कुल नहीं है, rather I would say. Yeah, Abhishek.
Wonderful, Kunal. So I guess Kshitij has another question for you.
Yeah, before asking you, sir, I would definitely congratulate Bansal साहब. वो self discipline वाली बात आ जाती है. Jenis sir बोल रहे थे ना that he has started on his own. So self discipline is a must. जब भी crisis होता है, अपने आप को check करना या अपने आप को सुधारना सबसे पहले जरूरी है. दुनिया को तो बाद में सुधार लेंगे. And a lot can happen over a cup of coffee, sir. लड़ाई से हर चीज नहीं होती. बैठ के को कॉफी नहीं तो कुछ और पी ले, लेकिन पी ले और सेटल कर ले तो ज्यादा अच्छा. So coming to Kunal, overall monetary scenario for a customer has gone down.
Yeah.
There are hints कि भाई salary कम हो जाएगी, and there are remunerations which will be cut down, and then overall life costing will rise. Lockdown है, demand ज्यादा है, consumption ज्यादा है, क्योंकि घर बैठे हो खाना भी ज्यादा खाते हो, expenditure अगर शॉपिंग करनी है, बाकी जेन्युइन वाला तो है ही. So customers looking for a bigger space. How do you see the developers catering to these needs now, and what should the customer do in this case?
Well, partly इसका question का answer बंसल साहब ने पहले किया था, but I would just read.
Kunal, we lost you in between. Kunal, एक बार फिर से शुरू करना, please.
He's not there. The screen is also frozen.
Yeah.
Maybe he lost the connection.
Can we take up the first question from the public, and by the time Kunal joins back, we can ask him again.
So, just coming back to the questions, firstly, I'd like to thank all the participants and the panelists till now. And let's go down to our questions to start with, and we can drop back to Kunal once again. So, Bansal sahab, mostly questions आपके लिए हैं. You are the star attraction here, sir. As bank interests are going down and down, what is the future of sales on pre-rented properties? Does it seem good, bad? How do you look at it? This is asked by our attendee by the name of Manish Gupta.
Yes. I think this segment, the pre-rented, will certainly boost up. The rate of interest on the FD has gone down, the bank's interest has gone down. And everybody is now thinking of that, okay, after some time, my business fluctuation is there, my job fluctuation is there, but he must have certain income which is fixed per month. So this segment, the rented income, will certainly come up. And the offices or the shopping, or you can say any property, even you can get a good rental in future in these apartments. Nowadays, I have heard that the apartment is now being rented out in 75,000 to 80,000 rupees if a 2 crore or 2.5 crore apartment. So people will be certainly looking for rented property very soon, and maybe with a reasonable ROI, maybe 6% ROI is good enough for a quality property. So this segment will certainly boost up, and this is a segment all the IPP realtors should certainly focus on.
Sorry, I've gone offline, I guess. I think connections do cut in at times. So I think Mr. Bansal completed the answer. But yes, अपना पाए थोड़ा सा change हो जाएगा. Like he rightly said earlier as well, हम foreign travel कम कर देंगे, हम कहीं ना कहीं अपना बच्चों की शादी पे शायद कम खर्चेंगे. Number of people that we call for the wedding, some luxury expenditures that we used to have. read it somewhere that China may, and I think Tarun and we were together in that China may, on the day Hermes opened its store, I think more than 21 crores ka sale hua tha.
21 crore, correct.
On a single day. I don't think India works in that manner. ये मेरा थॉट है कि इंडिया उस तरीके से काम नहीं करता है. इंडिया आज भी सेव करना पहले जानता है और अपना कुछ ऐसे एसेट क्लास में पैसा डालना चाहता है जो स्टेबल हो, जो कहीं ना जाए और जो उसके पास रहे, जो उसकी generations खा सके. This is what my belief says, and possibly that would happen. And yes, you would possibly change the pie of expenditure which is there, and which would result in you buying a bigger home. Pricing शायद कम नहीं हो पाएगी, लेकिन you would buy a bigger home in that same money that you are having as incoming right now. Abhishek.
So coming back to the questions again, thank you, Kunal. Sir, we have Mr. Umang Jindal from the audience asking you a question, Bansal sir.
Yes, please.
Basically, in just he's asking is if we have a buyer who buys a property post lockdown or during lockdown on the current prices, understanding that we are not going to drop prices, and if the same developer sells the same product cheaper in the next 2 months or 3 months, so how do we protect him so that he doesn't go back home feeling cheated?
First of all, I don't think no developer can, as we explained in the earlier part, this time the under construction projects, it will be very tough to, you can say, reduce the price for any developer. Secondly, we can come up with some guarantee type of, you can say, arrangement. Okay, you book an apartment, and down the line after 3 months, 4 months, maybe 6 months, if company decides to reduce the price, which in my opinion, will be tough. But still, if company decides to reduce the price, maybe even in this calendar year, the entire benefit should be passed on to the client. That's a fair way actually. You should, otherwise the confidence will never come. So this type of arrangement, all the developers should come up. Okay, this type of thing.
So sir, we have a lot of questions. We have, I guess, more than 80 questions, and we have already overshot the time that we had all planned for this. I suggest, is it fine that we all formulate these questions to you, sir, and you could have them drafted and then we could share it with all the attendees? Is that fine? Or Tarun, we should start with a couple of more questions and then take a break?
I think a couple of them should be okay.
Okay. Take a couple of questions, Abhishek, and then we can call it.
Okay. So, sir, we have a question from Mr. Vipin Kumar. Economy is going down and the job fear is there in the market. In this situation, what is going to happen with real estate? As a buyer, it is not his, real estate is not his primary need.
You're absolutely right. Real estate is not a primary need, but home is actually a primary need. You need a decent home, you need a safe home, you need a better home. Certainly even after the lockdown. And like you can say prices, the income going down. One suggestion I will share with Abhishek you. When the banks, they will offer the rate of interest cut. What happens normally, I have interacted with so many banks. Suppose you have 1 crore rupees loan and the rate of interest is 8.5%, I explained you earlier. So normally banks, what they do, they reduce the number of EMI. Suppose the loan is for 20 years, the bank will automatically reduce the number of years. The 8.5% to 7%, they will reduce 20 years to 17 years, like that. So I will advise all the APP Realtors team that please convince your client, don't go for reducing the number of EMI. Go for reducing the amount of EMI. That's the best one, because that will help you in paying your EMI on time, even after that, you can say some decrease in your income. That's the first one. Secondly, as Kunal rightly said, you have to save. You will certainly save lots of money from so many other things. But everybody wants now a good, decent home, good, decent house. So that's a diversion of you can say, fund, or it's a change in your the behavior of your rupee. You can say.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. So the next question we have from Vishal Gupta. He says, sir, what is the your vision on the product known as assured returns from developers? How do you think it will work in the near future?
Abhishek, it will certainly work, and the question of Vishal is right on the spot actually. This is the time people will be looking for assured return. Assured return means the return on investment.
Absolutely.
So the people will be looking for some property which will give them certain return every month. You can say balance the amount he lost in his job or he lost in his business. So this segment will certainly come up as per the budget. If you have 1 crore, you will looking for 1 crore budget amount. If you have 2 crore, you're looking for 2 crore amount. But in my opinion, the 6% ROI will be the reasonably ROI people will be looking for. If you have 1 crore and you can get a commercial complex where you have 50,000 rupees additional income per month, and that too is escalates every 3 years and after something like that. So that will be the additional income everybody will be looking for in future. So I think that's the right segment. Rental income you can say it will come up nicely. It will boost up.
Excellent, sir. With this, I think it is virtually very difficult to answer all these questions. So let's file and all these questions, and Kunal will ask your officers help to get them compiled and answered from all three of you, and then we can share it back with all our attendees.
For sure.
Harji, just to briefly say how would you like to sum up the whole thing for our attendees today?
First of all, thank you very much. We had a good session. It was a informal talk actually. First of all, I will like to say that please take good care of you. We need you a lot. This industry will come up very in a big way. Secondly, please keep touch with your existing client. Convince them to pay their installment on time. It will help projects to come up on time. That's a need of the hour. If the projects are further delayed due to non-payment of time, it will actually spoil the entire scenario. Please convince them to pay their installments on time, and also try to interact with your new leads. I think it's not a time to sell the product. We all agree, but it's time to gel with the client. First, gel with them, interact with them, tell them the product, and don't try to sell it now. The selling will happen later on. First gel, tell, and wait for the sell actually. So convince them to go for lesser amount of EMI in terms of rate cut, pay it on time, and please take good care of all of you. We need to be, can say, bang on with good health and with good, you can say, mental setup and everything. So this is the industry. There is no, you can say, we are in a very good, you can say, real estate business, as we explained earlier. Imagine the wedding industry. I was discussing with some guy yesterday. They have this entire business is in the danger. So tour and travel, aviation, hotels. There are so many industries which are in, you can say, danger. They need a lot of, you can say, change. But it's the real estate who will be real in future also. So thank God we are in the safe hand, in the safe industry, safe line.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Sir, I'd like to thank you once again personally and on behalf of APP for coming over and sharing your thoughts. I also once again on behalf of APP and NAR India would like to welcome you as our probable sponsors in one of our future events, as always, probably at a much higher level this time. I'd like to thank Jenis once again for sparing his time and his thoughts on the legal side, and Kunal obviously for stitching all this together and doing the needful. On behalf of APP and the Unity Group, I would like to thank all the attendees today. We had more than 350 plus attendees on Zoom, and plus some attendees on the Facebook live show also. To keep enjoying sessions like these and to keep getting knowledge, please connect with us on our Facebook page to become a member of APP and make APP more stronger. Thank you, friends. Thank you all.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tarun. Thank you, Kshitij.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bansal.
Thanks, audience. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
घर में रहिए. The whole mantra is घर में रहिए.
And thanks to Ekta also for joining, and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ekta, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.